Hello and welcome back to the 35th Mill. I'm Drew,
I'm Phil.
and today we're here to talk to you about Spielberg's latest adventure, Ready Player One.
Yeah,
Where
we
do
are.
we begin?
Where to begin? Okay, well, this film features around or revolves around a man named Wade Watts.
Indeed.
Because his father decided that it'd be a great name for a superhero's alter ego
Indeed.
or regular persona. Of course, he's not a superhero. He's just someone in a crap world, 2040.
45.
45.
Yep.
And he lives within a world, or spends a lot of his time within a virtual reality world or game called The Oasis.
Indeed.
He does, and trouble ensues, as always.
Of course. So the creator of The Oasis passed away a few years ago and has left a little Easter egg in the game, with the result being that if you discover the Easter egg, you gain complete control of the Oasis and earn the inheritance of the creator.
Now, of course, to be able to do that, you have to go through a sequence of challenges, essentially. And so it's the individual up against a big corporation trying to win the game because of the amount of people in this virtual world.
Indeed.
They want it.
It feels like the age-old story, doesn't it? You know, the good versus evil, the underdog fighting his way through
David against
Yeah.
Goliath.
Yeah.
In many ways.
As to the film itself, based on a best-selling novel that neither of us have read, so...
Yeah, can't help you there. Sorry.
Yeah. But that's okay, because that means that we can review this just as a movie, and honestly, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It was...
You loved it 3 times viewing.
I have loved it 3 times. I have seen it 3 times, and the best part about that is that each time I have noticed something different, and that is so exciting to me, to be able to discover new things every time you watch it. A movie should be able to engage you like that, and to give you something more with every experience.
Something that you mentioned to me just before we filmed was that the author took a lot of inspiration from Spielberg's movies.
Indeed.
And therefore, in the movie directed by Spielberg, and as written in the books, I'm sure there are so many different pop culture references to Steven Spielberg and films that he's done, characters he's created. The list goes on. You've seen it from the trailer for sure. There's the DeLorean from Back to the Future, of course. The T-Rex from Jurassic Park, and so on. There are so many different little pop culture references from so many different times and different things. It's awesome, and I'm sure if I view it again and again, I'll pick up on so many more.
There's so much to take in there. As to the more technical side of things, there is a lot of animation in this film, which is to be expected, and for the most part, they're pretty dead on with it, aren't they?
They are. I mean, they benefit, and they kind of get away with, in some ways, some less detailed special effects because it is set in the game world, of course.
But you can tell it feels intentional, and
for sure.
I find that the sequences between the real world and the Oasis just work seamlessly together. You hardly notice. You don't feel like you're traveling from one to another and back and forth. Everything just flows really consistently in this film. Certainly the story moves at a very brisk pace, making you blink, and 2 and a bit hours have just flown by.
Yeah, it's interesting. You think back at the end of the film, just how much information you've taken on throughout the whole film.
Exactly.
Because it is at such a high pace. And I noticed it very, very early on that it was going at such a high pace, but then you kind of just lose yourself in the world and you just go along for this awesome ride. So, yeah.
And the further you get into it, the more you realize it needs to move like that, because there is so much to condense in there. We won't go into too much of the specifics, because it's certainly something you need to see and experience for yourself, and we don't want to spoil any of the fun stuff in there. There's certainly, I think, probably the most exciting bit for me was the second challenge, because they achieved something that has not really been done on film before, and references a very classic film. So be sure to look out for that.
Indeed. But of course, because we don't want to give too much away, we're going to get straight to our scores then, and I'm going to let Drew go first, because I haven't thought of them yet.
All right, onto a technical score. I'm giving this film an 8 out of 10. I was erring a little bit with it, but you know what? The motion capture was spectacular. The real world settings, the sets were amazing. They were engaging. And again, back to the digital side of it, there were a couple of scenes within the Oasis where I genuinely thought they had filmed that scene for real on a set, because it looked so real. And in stark contrast to other scenes that just didn't look like that at all, this had it there. On a personal note, I'm also giving it an 8. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It felt the way Spielberg films felt to me when I was very young, that caught my imagination. Movies like E.T. and Close Encounters and Raiders of the Lost Ark. It brought me back to why I love movies and why Steven Spielberg has been such a big influence on my life in terms of my love of film.
All right, on to me. See, now I should have gone first because I was thinking an 8 technically.
Yes.
It was pretty flawless. I think some of the real world moments could have had slightly more refined special effects, but fantastic story, fantastic base material, I guess. It was really well done. Such a great movie in such a sharp production as well, especially with that speed that was going at. They did a lot in 2.5 hours. Personally, I'm gonna give it a 9.
Ooh.
It blew the socks off me. Like, it really did. It was awesome, and all the little cameos or pop culture references were just so rewarding. And
They are,
I mean,
aren't
again, if I see it again and again, I mean, it's going to have such high rewatch or reviewability for me.
It does.
Because I can just watch it through, and you're always going to find something different. Like, there's so many things going on in the background as well. So yeah, such a fantastic movie. I loved it so much. I'm so glad I finally saw it. There are our scores. We'd love to hear your scores in the comments below, of course, or on our Facebook page at the 35th Mill, of course. Yeah,
Yeah.
love it. Go see it. It's in cinemas now.